Well, hello there, everybody. Just digging out on that Marshall Tucker band. Gilbert, all the music was listed in the front. By the way, if you go back and look at it in the chat, that is an excellent recording of Marshall Tucker Band live. Got to see them with 38 Special and Atlanta Rhythm section and back in the day. Toy Caldwell could sing along with the others. So welcome everybody. How are you doing? Hi, Jackie, Deborah and Joyce and Co Queen, Lady Ellie, Rick, Paul Joe, Brandon, Ballard. How you doing? I saw Gilbert in here. So speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. Hey, words are powerful. If words can control the master spirits, wow, makes you begin to think, well, what does it do in everyday life? Hey, Melissa, Linda Espinoza, how you doing, my darling? Good to see you. Michelle, New Yoda, good to see you. What a lovely group we have here. So many people are just amazed at A, the genuineness of the love, kindness, and it's all y'all. You did it. I just served the tea. So to speak. Read between the lines, right? Uh, wow, Brandon. So I love that. I truly have disembodied and seen my wings in the spirit realm during the thurgery and disembodiment. Dig it, brother. Man, continue to open up the doors, open mind. I mean, there's no limitation. That's cool. I am Nancy. How are you doing? Hello, Lauren. Good to see you in DC. The doc is in. Hey, Brenda, Street Mom. How are you doing, my dear? Good to see you, Jacqueline. Man, so many people filing in. Melissa, good to see you. So, folks, we're not the only one studying this. Um, Came across an article that there is this new awareness is what they were saying of people like you and I. They don't know quite what to do with us, but there is this growing group that are truly studying this. And not only studying it, but actually carrying it out. Um, you know, so much to cover on here. Here is the fact, and I actually wrote this down. So very few people, population wise, will ever know about this, particularly what we're studying in here on the demons, the divine ones, the angelics. Uh, what they do know is primarily based upon their traditions of their regions of that they've grown up in, and whatever the predominant mind worm is, usually in this case it's religion. Well, that's how they learn, and what they know very little. And so when you think about how few people will ever really discuss this and this topic, even fewer will ever read this book. And then even fewer than that will ever actually do the rituals. Hello, Wesley. What's up? Good to see you, Bonnie. Hi, Nina. Good to see you, darling. Elderberry. Hello. So you can consider yourself, it's probably that 0.00000000009, percent of the population. And the thing about it is, if you think about it, as I wrote earlier in the chat room, I think there's a shift taking place. It could be said that for thousands of years, this information has lied pretty much dormant and has been controlled primarily by one particular oppressive spirit, and that's Christianity, the Catholic Church. Catholic Church knows all about these beings. They've known about them. Because again, they're the ones that stole all the books and then wiped the people out if they didn't convert. So they took the knowledge and then they burned everything that they felt that was not going to benefit them directly. And check me out on this. If you look at the Spanish conquistadors when they went in to Mesoamerica, that's the first thing they did. They wanted to know who the high priest or who the priest. Then they wanted to know, well, where's your books and where's your doc? How, and once they acquired that, well, that has been the MO for the Catholic Church from the very beginning. Do you think that the Council of Nice was just simply to put the Bible together? No, there was an alternative agenda. It was under the guise, supposedly, of Constantine as Rome began to change its government, because Rome knew that the government they had could not last, but religion will. And so they incorporated their religion. Now, the only way they could do this successfully was to send out the word throughout the empire and into the tributaries around there that you were to send all of your sacred religious books, documents, all of them. Nothing was to be left. And so once this thing, it wasn't even the church at that point, but once this new form of government called religion, in this particular case, Catholicism, which really doesn't exist today. But anyway, so they took that knowledge. They burned the library in Alexandria. They burned the library in Constantinople. Why? They had to get rid of this knowledge. And when they took control, and this is my proclamation, the Catholic Church, the Christian religion, took control of the master demons and have had them in control ever since. And now they're afraid. Governments are afraid. Politicians, business people are afraid, because as this knowledge gets out, it's a game changer. Fact. So consider yourself amongst the very few. It's a fact. So I want to say thank you to Nathan Frater Setnakh. We're actually getting to where we're going to do the conversation. It's not an interview, it's a conversation. And Nathan is a very powerful magician, I could say. I mean, what he knows is, well, not normally known by many. Many had tried to emulate it, copy it. And so thank you, Nathan. So I wrote to Nathan, and this is all part of this, is that the one thing I have about the whole Golden Dawn ideology, everything to do with the Kabbalah, the Torah, the name of Yahweh, the name of Jehovah, the name of the Elohim, Adonai. I mean, it just goes on. Because I have an extreme dislike for that entity. That entity isn't who it says it is. There is no actual God of the Christian faith. They tried to borrow the ancient Hebrew God. That doesn't work. So you can see the only way that this religion was ever able to propagate the way it did, it had control of the demons. It had control of the angelics. It knew exactly how to control these beings, and they knew exactly which ones would do their bidding. Scary, isn't it? So anyway, Nathan pointed out something to me, and Nathan, thank you. He said, you possess the knowledge. You know about this. And he says, although I understand what you're saying, he says, put it into the context. So most people have no idea how this knowledge came about. Now, the legend says it was from Solomon. I think it may have been a little more recent than that. If you understand who the children of Israel were, and how they became the Hebrews, and then they became the Jews. Well, particularly where the children of Israel is concerned, they're the ones who went into captivity in Babylon. We know that's a fact. We have documents of that taking place. Um, and the interesting thing is, when they were released, when Nebuchadnezzar fell, they came back, and you can read this in the book of Nehemiah. They were now considered Hebrews. And then with the occupation of Rome and what have you, they became known as the Jews. Well, it's my contention, and I'm not alone on this, that what the children of Israel actually did in Babylon is that they stole the magic. They stole the documents that made Babylon what it was. And again, these high-ranking demons and angels, they're not loyalist. They're not. There's no loyalty in them at all. This is about control, baby. Simple control, power. This is what it's about. Life we are under this illusion that life is so grand. That's an illusion. That's a delusion. Human life on this planet from the day one has been a fucking bitch. It is merciless. It is hard. It is harsh. And it is brutal, baby. The modern man today is spoiled. We're soft. We have these things where we can get anything we want at merely a click of a button. We can go into vast structures that have food, and the food won't kill you. This is unknown to humankind. And prior to this is why the elites were the elites. They knew about this knowledge. Why? They wanted to escape the curse of this life. This is the death realm. There's nothing in here that's alive. And so, as they came back, continuing with the children of Israel and the Hebrews, they brought this with them and they incorporated it into the second temple. Now, it could be possibly said that, Nebuchadnezzar potentially got the knowledge from Solomon. Don't know. Wasn't there. I can just read what we have today. And the thing that's miraculous about this is the fact that this knowledge, now it has changed. It's been somewhat morphed, but in essence, it's still kind of basically what it is. It's really a new phenomenon. Came about around the year 10,000, became very much popular in the 1200s, and then we can thank John Dee in his work as well that helped preserve much of this knowledge. And I'm sure that John Dee must be smiling because I'm sure he had never had any idea of this thing called the internet. Who knows? Maybe he did. We know that someone strategically stole documents out of his library and then set his library on fire. So you can see this recurring pattern all the time. Burn the documents and you have no more of the knowledge. But yet, it seems that the knowledge will surface, particularly if the seeker is seeking it. It will find its way. So, having said all that, let's get into this thing. Because, by the way, on Friday, I'm going to, Nathan is giving me permission to read his book. And so we're going to get into it. You'll have a better idea of Nathan and why this group particularly is unique. Folks, we got people that are part of this. They don't talk. They don't write comments. They don't participate in the chat. But I'm learning and have learned there's some powerful individuals that listen to this channel. Growth is not what my channel is about. What my channel is about is knowledge, being able to discuss knowledge in a context to where We're not taking sides, drawing lines. No, we simply look at for what it is, and you sift out what you don't want and accept what you can. So, having said that, let's get right into it. So, just to show you, by the way, on Friday, I will be covering Frater Nathan Setnakh. This is 2056, Contact, the Call. It's a fascinating, fascinating read. And this, it is an honor to have, to be known by such an individual, yet to be considered as friends as well. So we so apropos that we're into this. And of course, many of you who know of Nathan, Frater Nathan Setnakh's work, on Etsy, I've left the link below, books. And again, it's getting back into the real history of what actually is not the religious. You see, the Bible teaches nothing about angels or demons. Yet, the thing about demons, and I know this from my many years in Bible school and studying the Bible, the demons didn't exist in the Old Testament, at least not to what we perceive them to be. We know, according to the book of Mark, which Mark never wrote the Gospel of Mark, but this is where the introduction to the mind worm was set. This character, Jesus, whatever what, I don't know. But we have the writing. Supposedly, he is introducing into the context of the book of this new species called demons. In fact, we learn, and you can go back and study the book of Mark, you'll see it what exactly I'm talking about, is that everywhere Jesus went, the vast majority of people were infected with demons. They were demon possessed, some more so than others. And so as you read this story, you begin to find out that this is apparently a sentient intelligence. They have hierarchy, they have order. It's very bizarre. And apparently human vassals are very easily compromised. I dare say that the current president of this United States is not a human anymore. Something else has possessed that vassal. And you can look at many politicians in the Senate and in Congress as well. These are not human beings anymore. They are being controlled by a force that many of them have no idea about. This goes as well for the business world, Zuckerberg, others in the tech. I contend they're no longer human. There's something else possessing that. Of course, they would deny it, but, doesn't really matter, does it? They're not studying this. Well, maybe they are. I have a sense that someone has put these writings and these iconography symbols into a system and have done exactly that. AI conducting rituals to start commanding demon spirits. So let's get right into it. What are we talking about? All right. This is, again, Solomon, the Lesser Keys of Solomon. Excuse me, I need to get back here because that was not where I wanted it to be. Okay, so we're going to learn. Many of you, if you were part of the first part as we got into this, there is a procedure, there is a proper way, and that shouldn't surprise anyone. Anything I have ever seen of any organization, there's structure to it. So if you know how to do the rituals, and if you understand the warnings, and there's warnings on this, you don't mess with these beings unless you have a specific, and I do mean specific, purpose. All right, so this is the section of the book called the Art of the Goetia. Of the 72 infernal spirits evoked and constrained by King Solomon, And again, this is an academic book in its layout. Everything is referenced in the footnotes. And if you are a serious student, you can get the same knowledge. All right. The first principal spirit is a king ruling the east called Baal. He makes men go invisible. He rules over 66 legions of inferior spirits. So, as I wrote in the very beginning, so I'm using the Roman definition of a legion, which I think we can agree. I mean, there's some variance, whether it's 4,000, 6,000, or 8,000, but I think 5,000 was the general rule. So every legion figured that there's 5,000 inferior spirits. Now, it's interesting because the Liber Lilith taught us this as well. Those of you who enjoy Lilith and the Liber Lilith series, you know she spoke specifically of this same fact. In fact, Lilith breaks it down as to how they got there. All right. Says he appears in different shapes. That's what divers mean. It means different shapes. Sometimes like a cat, sometimes a toad, sometimes like a man, and sometimes in all these forms at once. He speaks very hoarsely. And excuse me, I need to move that down. There we go. This is his character, the sigil, which is to be worn as a layman before him who calls him forth, or else he will not pay attention to you. He'll literally probably say, "Who the hell are you?" And if you don't know how to answer that, it's this famous scene in Ghostbusters, you know, when who was the demon gal that came in? I'll think of it here in a second. And she said, "Are you a god?" The correct answer is, "Hell yeah, I'm a god. Now, here, hold my beer, because I'm about to show you how I'm going to fucking whoop your ass." They'll respect that. And if one throws a punch, be prepared to throw it back. But I caution you, I wouldn't go with that approach always. All right. So here's the sigil. You can copy it, put it around your body. I've already gone through and how you do this. All right. The second spirit is a duke. If you don't know what a duke is, you need to find out. Called Argeris. He is under the power of the East and comes in the form of a fair old man rotting a crocodile. You have to admit, if this showed up in your living room where you're conducting the opening up these portals, it might be a start. However, in this case, Argeris is a pretty cool master demon. Says he's very mildly carrying a goose hawk on his fist. He makes them run that stand still. He fetches back the runaways. He can teach all languages or tongues presently known. He has the power also to destroy dignitaries. This should be a concern to every politician, every world leader. Yeah, we're learning. Anyway, both supernatural and temporal. So this particular demon, king, I guess I should say, Argeris, is one that could apparently take care of some unseen deities. As above, so below as above, right? He also causes earthquakes. Now, of course, people say that these don't really exist. Exactly. They don't exist. That's what we want you to believe. This is just a fairy tale story with myths and legends of imaginary beings. All right, just so we can make that disclosure. He was of the order of the Virtus. He has under his government, he's got a government. It's a kingdom. He's a duke. He has 31 legions, and this is his seal, or sigil character, which is to be worn as a lineman. That's a pretty easy one too, isn't it? Where have we seen this sigil before? Go back and look. It's a lot of places, which leads me to believe in our study of sigils, we found out that these are actual portals, openings. Hello, England. Anyway, the third spirit is a mighty prince, being of the same nature as Argars, who is called Sago. I like that one. Sago. Doesn't that just roll off your tongue? How you doing, Vascago? This spirit is of a good nature, and his office is to declare things past and to come, and to discover all things hidden or lost. He governs 26 legions of spirits. This is his seal. And I want to stop here because isn't this interesting? If you read this with eyes open, you want to run for politics? I'm showing you a way to do it. You'll be a superstar no matter which party you're in. You're going to carry things because you'll walk into a chamber. This spirit will be able to tell you everything about everyone in the room. You can look at an individual, invoke that image to this demon, and he's going to show you their future. Or let's say you want to become a treasure hunter. This is the spirit you want on your side. And there's about 6 or 7 similar spirits that you'd probably want to be into the same group. If you wanted to go out, because listen, we haven't found all the gold. We haven't found, it always amazes me of people, the pirates and these others, the Templars and what have you, why they bury treasure all the time. What the hell is the treasure for? Well, to bury it. Then you never come back, you see? Well, this demon, he'll tell you. And I love the symbol. I almost get this idea of a robot when I see this thing. But anyway, it's all right. The fourth spirit is called Ga-Majin. Now, he's a marquis. He appears in the form of a little horse or ass, and then into human shape. He puts himself at the request of the master and speaks with a hoarse voice. I don't know. All right, so I'm thinking of a horse. I get that. It'll be interesting. Now, this one, he teaches all liberal sciences. So if you're in school, in college, in high school, you can invoke this demon, and he's going to teach you all the liberal sciences and gives an account of the dead souls of them that die in sin. And this is an interesting because here's this word sin. We're going to get into that on Friday. He rules over 30 legions of inferiors. Spirits. This is his seal, which is to be worn by the magician when he is invoked. That's pretty cool. It speaks to you, doesn't it? It's like, all right. The fifth spirit is called Marbos. He is a great precedent and appears at first in the form of a great lion, but afterwards puts on a human shape at the request of the master. He answers truly of things hidden or secret. He causes diseases and cures them. Now, this is interesting because here's another one of the same class of angelic that, again, knows where treasures are at. Also knows how to cure people. Yeah, what I could say in that one. Again, and he gives great wisdom and knowledge in mechanical arts, architectural, other things. Agriculture, I could just think of a number of why this particular demon would be invoked. And changes men into other shapes. He governs 36 legions of spirits. His seal is thus. Now, remember the very first guy that we talked about. That's what he does. He makes people invisible. And I've read more than one passage in my occult library of this being the focus of many magicians, sorcerers, witches. We're talking about a science that man has not yet grasped. Man thinks he's got the universe figured out. We still got our head up our ass. We don't know what the hell we're looking out there into these telescopes. We have no idea. We make up theories and ideas, but basically, humans on their knowledge of science, physics, and what have you, they're still throwing their feces at each other. No one's long lived enough. There's not enough documents that have been written. Again, when the library in Alexandria was burned down, the great weeping of our humanity, of our species, we were raped, we were stolen from, because that was the sole repository of the pre-Adamic world. And when that was taken away from us, that was a reset. All right. The sixth spirit is Valafar. He is a mighty duke and appears in the form of a lion with a man's head lowering. He is a good familiar. Now, what is a familiar? I told you about those the other day. They know everything about you. They watch you all the time. In fact, if you really want to get serious, there's more spirits watching you than what you could ever imagine. Voyeurs. All right. But he tempts those he is familiar with to steal. He governs 10 legions of spirits. Now, you have to understand there's a different classification. This is not inferior spirits. This is a different class of spirits. This is his seal to be worn constantly if you want his familiarity, else not. That's a very interesting sigil, the seal. It's just, yeah. The seventh spirit is Amun. He is a marquis, great in power and most strong. He at first appears like a wolf with a serpent's tail, vomiting out of his mouth flames of fire. Well, I haven't seen a wolf like that, but I got to tell you what, if I did, I'd have to go, holy freak. All right. But at the command of the magician, he puts on the shape of a man, with dog's teeth beset in a head of a raven, or in a raven's head. I mean, I'm just looking at this going, wow. Some of you who are great illustrators, you ought to be drawing some pictures of these and then share them with us. He tells of all things past and to come, and produces and procures love and reconciliation of controversies between friends and foes. Now imagine if you are a ruler and you're in a battlefield and you've got this other country, this other king that you're fighting, but you had this knowledge here. Yeah. He governs 40 legions of spirits, and his seal is thus, which is to be worn as aforesaid. I like this one. This one's really cool. Rather pleasant. The eighth spirit is called Barbatos. He is a great duke and appears when in the sun, in the day, and is in the night with 4 noble kings and their companions in great troops. So he comes when in the day, when apparently Um, with the directions with the four noble kings and their companions and great troops. You get this idea. I mean, every time I hear, you've got, let's say, 50 legions. Well, if I do the math on that, so let's see, that would be 50, 250,000 spirits. Now, I don't know what battlefield or what the vista must be like, but if you can assemble 250,000 angelic beings, that's a hell of an army. Woo! He gives you understanding of the singing of birds and the voice of other creatures. In other words, he gives you the ability to talk with animals. You have the ability to know what they're saying. Such as barking of dogs. He breaks hidden treasures open that have been laid by, isn't this interesting? Laid by the enchantment of magicians, and he was of the order of virtues, of which some part beareth rule still, and he knows all things past and to come, and reconciles friends and those that are in power. He rules over 30 legions of spirits. His seal of obedience is this, which were before you and all the others. Wow. So we have treasures that are covered by a spell. Interesting. So he has this ability to give a human being the ability to know and probably speak to every animal. Wow, these are the type of friends I'd love to have over. Talk about a great party. Oh man. All right, I dig this guy. I studied him for some reason. When I was doing this, so I know about this guy and I really like him. The ninth spirit in order is Tiamat, a great king and very obedient to Lucifer. He appears in the form of a man sitting one a dormity with a crown most glorious on his head. So it's got this structure over him. And he has this crown. This is the first one I've read that actually has a crown, which is significant. Says, there goes before him a host of spirits like men with trumpets and well-sounding cymbals. Got the sense that this dude digs music. I mean, you got to love a demonic, like, he digs music. I mean, right on. Now, of course, you got the other side will say, well, all rock and roll music is the devil's music anyway. Yeah. Well, that means he's got better taste than yours. That's all I got to say. And all other sorts of musical instruments. I just get the idea of seeing Jimi Hendrix, and John Bowman, It's like, yeah. Can you see Tom Petty up there, leading this thing? Yeah. Anyway, he has a great voice and roars at his first coming. And his speech, his voice, is such as the magician cannot well understand unless he is compelled. You have to compel him, telling him, stop that nonsense and speak to me in the voice of which I understand. This spirit can teach all arts and sciences and other secret things. He can discover what the earth is and withhold and what is holding it up in the waters and the wind and is or where it is. That's interesting. Tells me that they have a sense of cosmology. astronomy, realizing that this planet in this realm is just another one amongst how many we don't know. But anyway, I like this because he can actually teach you those things. I mean, to me, when I read this first time, it's like, well, maybe he's telling me what gravity is. We don't know what gravity is. Um, or any other thing you desire to know. Now, that's a challenge right there. If you feel like you would like to have knowledge that others don't have, this is the one to talk to. He gives dignity and confirms you the same. He binds or makes a man subject to the magician if he desires it. He gives good familiars and such as can teach all arts. He is to be observed towards the northwest. He is of the order of dominions and has 200 legions of spirits under him. This is a powerful, powerful dude. One of them is of the order of angels. You see, they're not even cousins. These folks are related, brother and sister, whatever. And others of the potentates. Potentates are other high-ranking individuals. I mean, seriously, you really want to have this guy on your side, If you call this spirit Paimon alone, you must make him some offering to him, and there will attend him 2 kings called Babel and Ablam, and other spirits of the order of the potentates. In his host are 25 legions, because all of those spirits which are subject to him are not always with him, unless the magician compelleth them. This is his sigil, his character. It's like, wow. I mean, this is one you'd probably want to put a circle around and saying, I got to send this one an email. You get the idea. And you can see this, and I get this. I mean, the 10th spirit is Bur, a great president, and appears in the night. That is his shape when the day is there. I think I got that right. I want to make sure on the symbol. I've got him memorized, but obviously I'm missing, I think, on that one. He teaches philosophy, both moral and natural. Wow. Got a sense he's maybe sent in a few of these sessions. By the way, you're welcome here, Björ. He teaches philosophy, both moral and natural, and the logical arts, and the virtues of the herbs and plants, and heals all distempers in man, and give familiars, good familiars. He governs over 50 legions of spirits, and this is his seal of obedience, which you must wear when you call him to appearance. Nice guy. I mean, tell me where you get anything negative on this one. I really want to know. Where do you get that? I mean, they seem to be quite a bunch of decent individuals for demons and angelics. You know what I mean? Okay. Now that is a cool sigil. I mean, that truly is. I kind of really dig that one. The 11th spirit is a great and strong duke called Goshen. He appears as a Xenophilus. He tells of all things past, present, and to come. He shows you the meaning of all questions you can ask. He reconciles friends and gives honor and dignity to any, and rules over 40 legions of spirits. Now, notice in this case that the spirit is capitalized. This shows a higher ranking group of spirits here, and his seal is this, which you must wear all the time. That's a pretty good call. I mean, he could be one that I think would be very interesting. He'll answer all the questions you can ask. I think in this case, you'd have to be very careful because maybe sometimes you don't want to know the answer. Just saying. Cool sigil. Now that's a cool symbol too. I mean, yeah. All right. Wow, where does the time go? Love this. Okay. Got the tea. The 12th spirit is Citri. He is a great prince and appears at first with a leopard's face and wings of a griffin. Don't see that every day. But afterwards, at your command of the exorcist, he puts on a human shape very beautifully. Now, this cat is into some wild stuff. He inflames men with women's love and women with men's love and causes them to show themselves naked. If he be desired. He governs 60 legions of spirits, small s, and his seal to be worn is this. So if you single guys or gals are wanting to really attract company, this is the one you want. And I don't know about you. I mean, if you ever have done a ritual, I'm naked in there anyway. Wearing a robe or anything else, I mean, what does it matter? But that's just me. I like my body. I think that, it's a freaking phenomenal piece of engineering. Are you kidding me? Love this body. Speak it over it all the time. I dig this one. I mean, so this is kind of like the sex demon. I mean, this is the one that, I think I met this one in my youth at some time. Okay, I swear I must have. I mean, I hung around a group when I was like 15, 16, and they were from the Libertarian Church. And woo, y'all should have attended some of our parties. Anyway, the 13th spirit is called Belith. He is a mighty king and terrible, riding a pale horse with trumpets and all other kinds of musical instruments playing before him. Okay. He is very furious at his first appearance. That is while the exorcist allies his courage. In other words, I think in this case, it's saying, if you're going to invoke this one, you best have a set of brass balls because apparently you're going to need them. You're ugly. So are you. You're ugly. It's kind of the thing. Because apparently he's just got this whole attitude, got a real chip on his shoulder. For to do that, he must hold now. So you've got to get your courage. Then you have to hold a hazel stick in your hand, stretch forth towards the south and east quarters, making a triangle without the circle, commanding him into it by the virtue of the bonds and chains of spirits hereafter following. This sounds to me like a bad hombre. I don't know about you. I mean, I'm not talking negative about it. I'm just saying this is one us neophytes had. We don't have anything to be doing with him, right? Not even sure if we're adapts can come in this one. Because obviously the exorcist here, which is the master, which would be you, me, uh, yeah. So you have this triangle. I get that. Um, and then you have to put bonds and chains. Wow. Okay. And it says, if he does not come to you by your threats, rehearse the bonds and chains before him, and then he will yield obedience and come into it and do what you command him. Why do I get this idea? I can see this horse being, broken. Um, he must you must receive him courteously because he is a great king and apparently is expected for you to do homage to him as the kings and princes do that attend him when in Rome. And you must also have always a silver ring on the middle finger of the left hand held against your face as they do for Ammon. This king, Belith, causes all you love that possible may be, both men and women, till the master exorcist has his mind fulfilled, and he is of the order of powers and governs 85 legions of spirits. His noble seal is which is to be worn before you in the time of working. Wow. I just get the sense on this one, you really have to study on this one. It's whoa. Okay, let's continue. Well, look at this one. I mean, what a seal. Just let this speak to you. You can begin to get, I don't know. I could almost say I get chaos almost, but that, I could be completely wrong. All right, so the 14th spirit is called La Raja, written intralina. He is a marquis, great in power, showing himself in the likeness of an archer, clad in green, carrying a bow and quiver. He causes all great battles and contests and causes the wounds to petrify that are made with arrows by archers that belong to him. He governs 30 legions of spirits, and his seal of obedience is this. Makes sense, doesn't it? Like, yeah, I can see that. Oh, interesting. All right, Elagor. This is the 15th spirit, a great duke. He appears in the form of a godly knight carrying a lance on the ensign and a serpent. He discovers hidden things and knows things to come and of wars and how the soldiers will and shall meet. He causes the love of lords and great persons and governs 60 legions of spirits, his seal, which is to be worn, or else he will not appear nor obey you. Okay. The 16th spirit is called Zepar. He's a great duke and appears in a red apparel and armed like a soldier. His office is to cause women to love men and to bring them together in love. He also maketh them barren. Wow. And governs over 26 legions of inferior spirits. Again, title in here all across the board. His seal is this, which he obeys when he sees it. How interesting. just by showing the sigil alone. All right. The 17th spirit is called Bodis, a great president and an earl. He appears at first when he shows his form of an ugly viper. Then at the command of the magician, he putteth on human shape, with great teeth, 2 horns, carrying a sharp, bright sword in his hand. He tells of all things past and to come, and reconcile friends and foes. He governs 60 legions of spirits. His seal is this, and he obeys it when he sees it. And there appears to me, again, you could put these almost in certain classes. I mean, this one here, again, they all seem to have this ability, and I'm probably greater degrees than others, of telling you the past and the future. Here's just my take. I think I'd like to know the past before I want to know the future, because I contend we don't know the past. We're told what to believe. I don't think any human alive actually, unless they've engaged in these spirits, would actually know that answer. I know there's people out there to say they do, but I still question everything on that. Interesting. The 18th spirit is called Bathan. He is a mighty and strong duke, and appears like a strong man with the tail of a serpent, sitting on a pale-colored horse. He knows the virtues of herbs and precious stones, and can transport men suddenly from one country into another. He rules over 30 legions of spirits. His seal is thus, and is made to be worn before you. And it's interesting on this Bathan. Teleportation is replete in the New Testament. We got the story of Jesus doing it many times. We have the story of the apostle. Oh, I'm trying to remember the one now. I actually know where it is in the book of Acts. It's interesting. But the Ethiopian eunuch that had come to read about the knowledge of Solomon. And this apostle meets him on the road and tells him apparently everything he's leading. And then it says this apostle was immediately transported into another town, which would have been approximately something like 100 miles away. So this is interesting. And do you get the idea that the laws of physics in this realm can be broken or bent? Very interesting. All right, boy, where does the time go? Oh, this is a truly elaborate sigil. Wow. So the 19th spirit is called Salos. He is a great and mighty duke, and appears in the form of a gallant soldier riding on a crocodile with a duke's crown on his head. Peaceably, he causes the love of a woman to men and men to women. Another one of these cats. They had to have been in, I know I met these. He governs 30 legions of spirits. His seal is this, which must be worn before you. I can see that. All right, we'll get through the 20th here. I think we did pretty good pace. The 20th spirit is called Persons, a great king. He appears commonly like a man with a lion's face. I haven't seen many people that have lion face. All right. Carrying a cruel viper in his hand, and riding on a bear. Going before him are many trumpets sounding. He knows hidden things and can discover treasures, and tell all things present, past, and to come. He can take a body, either human or air, and answer truly of all earthly things, both secret and divine, and of all creation of the world. He brings forth good familiars, and under his government, his power, are 22 legions of spirits, partly of the order of virtues, and partly of the order of thrones. All right, here's another group. You see the complexity of this? And his mark or seal is that which he owes obedience to, and which must be worn by the exorcist or the magician, the master, in the time of action. Wow. Huh. Does not the sigil match the description? All right, I see that. Oh, this has gone by way quicker than I thought. So, yeah, I think they do too, Paul. Paul Joe, I think so. They can be bent and they'll return back. Yeah. Um, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Let me know. In any way, because there's only what there's 44 of these, I think. So we've already finished half of them. We'll probably finish up the other part tomorrow. And it's a way of us just giving them acknowledgement and saying, hey, we know that y'all are there. How you doing? How's things happening? Thank you, Pingree. Appreciate it, Gilbert. Brother, I got to tell you what, Gilbert, that was a hell of a story, man. Gilbert and I text. So, brother, I'm just surrounding you with a lot of favor. Brian, thank you. Yeah, it is very informative, isn't it? I mean, where do you go to really? And I know this is kind of a layman's approach, but hey, why not? It's just how we work. Grace, you're right. Yeah, the sigils, they do remind of coats of arms, don't they? I get the ones of England very firm in my head. Thank you, Jackie. So thank you, Kitty. Appreciate that. Ruby, how you doing, darling? Hey, Baker. Uh, you're learning how to be magicians. That's exactly what we're learning to do. And we take it very small steps, small steps. Because this one right here, I don't think you want to actually do leaps and bounds. I got this sense that somewhere down the road, if you took that path, yeah, things ain't gonna go turn out real well. It's like, didn't you read the introduction? I never read the introduction. Yeah, well, you should. Remember when it said you shouldn't do this unless you have very specific questions or goal and you know how to quiet your mind. And I got to tell you, I think with some of these ones that invoke the high sexual energy, I mean, just thinking out loud here, that would require a great deal of discipline. For some people, others probably not so much. Yeah, Joyce, it's always the fine print, isn't it? Well, thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate that, girl. We're learning to be philosophers as well. Yeah, this is the Naked Philosophers group. I mean, I even got a T-shirt that says that. Hey, Robert V, appreciate you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mary wins. Much love to you, darling. Love does win. Yeah, always does. Oh, always does. There we go. Wind up naked in the. It's like, I don't even know how I got here. I started this thing. I had my clothes on. I really did. And the next thing, yeah. It's like, well, thank you, the doctor. I appreciate that. I love that. That's like, I could never figure out on Star Trek. I mean, the next gen, even when they did the teleportation thing, the teleporter is how did the clothes make it through? And yeah, it's like, yeah. All right. You overthink things too much. Quetcha Simpson says 333 says knowing is half the battle. Spot on. Spot on. Rick, thank you. All right, folks. See you tomorrow. We'll pick up. We'll get finished with them. And then Friday, I think y'all are going to be really this is the with Frater Nathan Setnakh's book. I mean, Setnakh. That's how it is. All right. Much love to everybody. Thank you for hitting the like button on the way out. Thank you for subscribing if you're not. And good things are coming to us. This is a powerful, powerful group. And yeah. All right. Much love, everyone. Make sure you love those around you. Stephen Still said it best.